ever feel like your song list is just half-finished songs? A verse here, a chorus there, but nothing that you can actually play all the way through. I've been teaching guitar 23 years, and this is the exact problem I've seen hold thousands of players back, especially those learning from YouTube. Today I'm going to show you the exact framework my students use to finish songs fast without getting bored, overwhelmed, or stuck jumping between different guitar tutorials. By the end of this, you'll know how to pick the right song, break it down into bite-sized wins, finally have a set list you can play from start to finish confidently. So I have my board here, I have my little iPad, and I'm going to be sharing some of the tips that I've found that have helped students the best over the last 23 years of teaching guitar. So first thing is we got to define the problem. The biggest problem online nowadays is that when players go to learn, they go to YouTube, and you're watching this on YouTube right now. It's where there's so much guitar stuff, and that's brilliant. However, when it comes to learning songs, we've got to remember that the format, the frame of how we learn songs online is treated far differently in our behavior than if you were paying a one-to-one teacher to learn the same song. Now, let me define this, right? And stick with me on this. If there's one YouTube video you watch and you stick to, please let it be this one. This is worth, I don't know how many song tutorials more surfing around. So, this is the common plight of the online guitarist. They start a YouTube video and maybe they look up one song and they might get a bit of it, but then they move to the next one. Song number 2, and I think you know where this is going. Song number 3, song number 4, and so on and so forth. Now, here's the thing. When you have all these different songs, your focus is completely split between them. And when you think of guitar, you got to begin to think of it like it's a foundation. The idea with songs is that you lay down a foundation in your playing and that you basically keep things solid, and that it's a base that everything can be built upon. Now, when you look at this approach, it would be almost like a bunch of builders going to build a house and suddenly go, you know what, let's start the foundation. Then they kind of get bored. And have you ever felt that with songs, that you start a song and you're excited at the start, then it gets hard, then it's kind of boring as well. You're like, G minor, C, D, you're in this again. Then you move to the next song. But could you imagine that bunch of builders if they laid one bit of a foundation and then all of a sudden they were like, do you know what? Maybe over here is a better foundation to lay. And they go over here and move. Then they go, and the next thing, there's all these foundations everywhere. And the rest of the crew building the house are there with like all the cool, beautiful furniture going, guys, where are we building this? What are we building on? And it's everywhere. Now, here's the thing. I would have done the exact same thing on guitar. Like, I learned before YouTube, but I did the exact same thing, but it took the form of books and of like magazines and stuff like that. So this is the main problem. There's tons of songs, and you know the feeling. If somebody asks you, oh, hey John, you're playing guitar, plays a song there. And you look and you go, I'll play a bit of it. And you play it and you kind of hope that people recognize it. Nobody gets too excited that if you say, oh, I have 1/8 of Wonderwall learned, and I have like a 16th of this one learned, and you're kind of going giving people tasters, and people don't have a chance to sing along. You don't even have a chance to sing along, and people don't have a chance to join in. So for that reason, it is so important to complete a song. Now, if you were to take a song, and I call this the TikTokification of guitar learning. Like, think about our lives nowadays. We have the shorts feeds, we have the TikTok feed, everything, and it's all quick and it's all instant and it's all short bursts. But honestly, to build guitar skills, you've got to embrace the boredom, and you've got to drill stuff, and you've got to stick with stuff, even while the entire internet is shouting and all the thumbnails, including mine, all the thumbnails are waving at you going, watch my video. You got to focus. So here is the alternative. If you instead, and by the way, these 4 songs might not be the ones to pick. I generally suggest the following. 1, start with 4 chords in a song. Just 4. even if you love Queen's music is mad to learn on guitar. Like, I had a Queen book growing up and it sat there for so damn long. Like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't fun. Even though I loved all the songs. So pick 4 chords. Generally, I recommend G, E minor, C, and D. And you might be looking at this going, oh man, gee, these 4 again. But my question for you is, how many songs can you successfully play and finish with those 4 chords right now? If you can't, the ideal number of chords or songs to get with 4 chords is like get 5 songs like that under your guitar belt. Now, so you have 4 chords. That's the 4 to go with, and then a simple strum. Because your degree of success. Let's see if this thing works. Yes, alrighty. Oops. Anyways, you get the idea. The idea here is that you've chords on one side. Get out of the way. You have the strum on the other side. And then you have the sweet spot in the middle. Because think of it this way. If you pick chords that are way too hard, and if you pick a strum pattern that's way too hard, well, next thing, both of them are just going to like bang off each other and clash rather than kind of intersect and meet one another. And you want to do that. Excuse the frosted glass effect on the camera. I'll be back. So you want to look at introducing a simple strum pattern to a common group of chords, and you gradually introduce them to one another and they kind of mingle and then they eventually merge. You don't want to do something too hard here, and they just bang off one another. So what we want to look at is with the simple strum. The simplest strum I could think of is this. That is a nice simple strum. You're just going down, 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 up, down. Many players begin with down, down, up, down, up. That is the most used one, but it's not the most useful and most easiest one to start with. So you have 4 chords, you have your simple strum. Now, what songs? I'll give you some songs that use these. That's one. You could do Wagon Wheel like that. And I'll play them in a sec. And then E minor, C, G, and D is Zombie. And don't worry, I have my guitar down alongside me. I will start with those 2. I don't overwhelm me. So that is the first thing. Now, Wagon Wheel is a bit of a rock version. So if I go like this. Right? Now, if I take Zombie. Right, so there are just 2 little ones you could start with. And key phrases to be aware of on the internet are like easy, simple, fast, quick. Those words are so subjective. Like what I could call simple, when it's put out to the entire internet, not everybody's going to find that simple. Now, we still use that language because it's just in the English language, but you got to watch out that when you're looking stuff up, do not feel like a failure if you try a simple guitar video or an easy guitar video and it doesn't work for you. It's totally normal. The key thing is to find what works for you and just double down on it. So, moving into the next part. So to recap, the first problem we had was players looking at loads of different stuff online. And can you imagine, like, you could get a little bit of Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. You get a little bit of another song, like a well-known Fleetwood Mac song. And you kind of have bits of songs. But if you pick an easier song that has 4 chords and pick the same group of chords, can you imagine if this song was A, D, and E, this song was C, A minor, F, and G, G, E minor, C, and D. You're kind of getting a bit good at all different chords and all different strums. You want to pick the core group of chords, the core group of strum, and next thing, put all your time into those and rise them up together, like our foundations, like we spoke about. Now, and this is boring at times. I totally get it. It is so boring. But at the same time, think about foundations of houses. Nobody gets excited about foundations. I have never seen anybody drive by a house and go, wow, that foundation is beautiful. Like, they can't see it. But without the foundation, the beautiful house could not exist. Now, so that's your chords and your strum. The next thing then is how to break this down. And for this, we're going to go into our song layout. A song is made up of this. I'll do this, check one thing. Okay, cool. So a song, basically, that's how people learn songs online. Somebody goes on YouTube, they look up a song and they try and learn the entire song. And then they come out the other end and they don't know how they're doing with it. They won't complete the whole song. And then they move to the next song, like we said. But if you instead did this, if you looked up intro, verse, pre-chorus, these are all like the sections of a song. Chorus, and then the bridge. Right? Now, think of it this way. So now you have all these different parts. And again, you're breaking it down bit by bit. So if you look at the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and the bridge, at least you'd have a sense of completion. Motivation is highest when we're coming near the finish of something. And when we've like a deadline. A song is such a long stretch of work that to feel motivated to continue with it, it's much harder to be 12 seconds into playing Wagon Wheel and to go, oh, I have to keep learning this to get to 3 minutes 12, rather than go, hey, I can play the first verse of Wagon Wheel now, and I can play it solid, I'm sure of it, and I'm moving on to the pre-chorus this week, right? So, apologies about the camera freezing, I'll have to look into that, but it will be back. Now, the next thing, so with the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and the bridge. So this is how I'd break it down. If I was doing a song like this, so I'd take the verse. Right, so that's the verse of Wagon Wheel. Now, in Wagon Wheel's case, the entire song is the same chords all the way through. But the trap with that is you could start the song and get the first verse and then go, I know it all, I've learned it. But remember that your endurance on guitar is as important to develop as your ability to learn the chords. Meaning, think about a soccer match. Think about the way that somebody could put in an amazing first verse here, an amazing 10 minutes of play, but around the 60-minute mark in the match, they begin to fade off. Their fitness and their skills and their abilities aren't as good. So you want to be as good playing the end of Wagon Wheel as you do the beginning, even though you're playing the same thing all the way through. So you got to work on endurance. Now, looking at this, if I was to take that song section, so we're in the verse, and what we want, and by the way, I actually, while I think of it, I have 101 songs that are like the most popular ones used for playing in front of others. You'll find it in the video description below or in the top comment. It's free download. It's like 101 songs with chords and lyrics. And I've tested these. How many years have you been playing? I think 26 at this stage or something. They work. Okay. But anyways, let's get into how to learn songs first. But you can grab it after this. Now, Wagon Wheel. The next thing is, if we break this down, this is made up of 2 lines of chords. Right? Break apart the lines. You have first line G, D, E minor, C. And then you have the second line G, D, C, C. But then you break it down further. You go here and you go into chord changes. You have G and D, and that's this chord change. And then you have E minor and C. Right? Now, if this looks very analytical and data driven and very like broken down into nuts and bolts, it's intended that way. I have a master's in software development, and we learned how to break down problems into like the smallest piece of code possible. But for guitar players, it's the same thing. So because at this stage, when you look at this, then you have the pair 2 and you have pair 1. Now, what you can do with these is you look at it now and you're saying, I'm doing wagon wheel. I'm in the verse. There's 2 lines in wagon wheel. The first line, I'm working on my G to D change. And then I'm working on my E minor to C change. Now, how do you work on those? You work on them as follows. So if I wanted to drill a chord change, I'd do the following. There we go. So if you go like this, right? Back and over between both chords. So you're on G, D, G, D. Set a 1 minute timer. Just go back and over between those 2 chords. A number one place where players lose time in chord changes is they do this. And this might be familiar to you. If you do this, watch out, right? So watch, they go G. Now watch my head. They look over, they look back, and they strum. We lose so much time. If you follow Formula 1, you know that like milliseconds matter. It's the same with this. So you're on G, keep looking over here, keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. Okay? And you'd set a 1 minute timer. And I taught somebody once and they said, I tried that 1 minute timer thing. It didn't work. I said, how many times did you try it? I said, I did it once. Like I said, I was like, it isn't a magic fix. 1 minute, if 1 minute sorted everything on guitar, we'd all be shredding around the place. Now, what you want to do is you do that as part of your practice routine. You do that 1 minute drill. And by the way, do you watch longer videos on YouTube like this? Or do you watch Netflix or anything? You could have your guitar with you on the couch or on the seat and literally just be there going like this. G. You don't have to strum. You're just training your fingers just to learn how to be faster, how to do the movements. Now, with this, you got to watch out because with this, there's also the thing of, as humans, we don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to be in a hurry consciously. And with this, everybody has that extra like 10 to 20% they can change faster. So if you're kind of chilling out on G, then you're going to D like this and it's so slow and thoughtful. You got to push it. You got to rush. G, D, G, D, right? So go back and over with those changes. So that would be a definite part of your practice routine. And do you notice the way that like it's very useful then and it's very purposeful that you're actually working on a chord change as opposed to working on the song. And you do the exact same thing with E minor to C. Now, the next part then that comes is the following. And a lot of players miss this one. It's pair 3. It's where you work on D to E minor. And in case you're watching going, do I have to do this on every song? You don't. You don't have to do this on every song at all. Once you've practiced G going to D or these pairs of chords and get them fast enough, there comes a day you never have to practice them again. But it takes this amount of detail first. So that's pair 3. Now, think of it this way. You've gone from taking that line and trying it all on its own and playing it to the end and kind of going, how did that go? I'm not sure. To suddenly going, wow, G to D feels easier to change than E minor to C. D to E minor is easy. I don't need to practice that one. You start to have an awareness of what really needs to work. And when you realize what really needs to work in your guitar practice, you can go and do it. And when you do it, you improve. And when you improve, your practice gets better and so does your playing. It creates this lovely cycle. So that's G, D, E minor, C. Then the really cool thing is if we zoom to the next line, when you've practiced that enough, the next line, G going to C, or D, you've that already practiced. Right? And Knocking on Heaven's Door uses it. So a ton of songs use these chords. So the work you're doing with this works for many other songs. Now, so all you do here is you go to line 2 and you practice G, D, then practice D going to C. Now that's a new pair, so that would take work. So at this stage then you've drilled the changes, you have them in line 1 and line 2. And the question might be, what do you do next? And do you notice the way I said nothing about singing? I have not mentioned one shred up until this point in the video about singing this song. And it's because of the following. A lot of players try and sing and play way too soon, way too soon. And then they get frustrated because they go, why can't I sing and play? And I'm doing the C chord. It's really, I hate the C chord so much, so difficult. I'm trying to sing. There's so much going on. Like, I mean, it'd be like, to me, singing is like putting the finishing touches on a beautiful house. It's the bit like nobody will come up to you after you sing and play for the first time in front of others, and unless they're a guitar player maybe, and go, hey Frank, great job there on the, God, your D to C change is amazing there. Really, they're not going to do that. They're going to go, that sounded really nice. Or the singing, God, you have a lovely voice. They'll comment on the higher level stuff, but the bells and whistles stuff is only being held in place because you worked on your foundations. The rest of us guitar players watching you, we'll know. We'll be like, yeah, you nailed that C chord. Well done. C's a pain. So, moving to the next part. Frosted glass effect will stop. Now, so that's the lines. No singing yet. And the whole time with this, you're just working on your chord changes. The next step with this, you could think I'm going to say, oh, start strumming now. Not necessarily. If we look at the G going to the D, like this. Sorry, I'll do that one more time. There we go. So that's 4 beats on each chord. Now, because of that, we got to look at, what are we doing here? This is the rhythm I said we'd do. Down, 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 up, down. And by the way, I know I'm sharing a ton of stuff today. I'll also have a thing down below where I'll have everything bullet pointed out, right? I'll run it through something, and you can have all the mini little points to remember. So, next thing, if we take the G, D, E minor, C, this is what we got. That's what's on that line. So we play the rhythm once for each chord. Now remember, the only reason my G to D change works well is because I've drilled it. And same with all these chord changes. But what I recommend first is the following. I recommend that you do 4 downs on each chord first. Because again, from a nuts and bolts perspective, you want to look, and at any given stage, if somebody was to pull you aside and kind of go, hey, what are you currently working on with this? Instead of saying, oh, I'm working on the song, or what's your biggest challenge? Oh, the song's hard. What about it is hard? What section? Oh, well, I'm actually working on the verse right now. Okay, what line in the verse? Well, actually, I'm working on the first one because it has 4 chord changes going on there, 3. Okay, and how are you working on them? Oh, well, I actually isolated the chords and I just took each pair on their own and I drilled them back and over. Did you do much? No, I'm just getting into it now, and I'm actually doing 1-minute drills of just the change. And I'm watching my habits. I'm looking at my left hand or right hand, depending on what hand you are, all the time. And I'm just practicing while I'm watching Netflix and stuff. And I'm actually it's getting really fast. Now, oh, that's cool. And are you singing it? No, I'm not singing yet. Because I got to get my rhythm tight. Because the foundation of singing is that I have clearish chords. I'll touch on that in a sec. Clearish chords and a strum pattern before I start singing, obviously. Otherwise, everything's on the go all at once and it's just chaos. And then the person goes, okay, but are you playing like a cool rhythm? No, I'm not, because I am, sorry, yeah, told you, boring stuff. No, I'm not, because I want to get my down strums on each beat solid first. Think of it this way. Look at this line here with me a sec, right? If I can't go like this, if I'm pausing that much, doing 4 downs on each chord, doing the full rhythm, is not going to be much help to me. You must get the downs working first. Quick chord change, and remember what I said? It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be like you want to feel as if somebody just pushed you off the edge. Or do you ever touch burning water or boiling water, boiling water, that you touch it to test is it hot and you go, whoa, you hop off that quick. You want to hop off your chords that quick. Like if I go like this, right? Observe the way you'll see my thoughts in process here. Watch, I'm on G. Now watch this. You can see it in my eyes. You can see it on the whole thing of what chord's next. I looked up and it's like, what chord's next? Oh, it's D. It's too late at that stage. D is supposed to be played at the point that G ends. And to do that, you've got to think about what chord is next all the time. I often joke with students, I'm like, it's like the opposite of mindfulness. I was like, you do not want to be in the present moment. You always want to be thinking, oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? So I often joke like the Buddha or the Dalai Lama, they wouldn't be the best at guitar maybe. That'd all be the time. Sorry, bad joke. So that's your chords and that's the G going to the D. So now you're doing your down strums, and again, this is the part to practice now. And it's at this point, that's where your thing will pause. So you got to practice 4 Gs, hop off quick as if you're testing hot water or boiling water onto D. Now, again, remember the way we practiced up here? We had isolated cases. So we had, I wouldn't just play the whole line in one go now. Again, you take it out, you do this pair on their own, over and over. Then you do this pair on their own, over and over and over. Then you combine them up and see what happens. And that gives you that first line. And remember, if it's a choice between a player who, think about the mini bits of work you're doing here and the way that you know what you're doing, you know how to do it, you know how much to do it, and you know when to move on. You're going to be so much more focused and so much more sure of what's next and what you're doing than the player who is, to this day, they spent 5 years going on YouTube, looking up the next song, and then watching an entertainment video on guitar that's masked as education, but it's really just entertainment to keep you on the video. And then kind of feeling good about guitar again, and so the cycle continues. So, mini soapbox rant over. You got to break it down. And the cool thing is, crew, this works for G. This works for any chords, any songs you do. It's the same stuff. Any song is going to have song sections. Sections of songs will contain lines of chords. Chords need to be changed quickly. You change them quickly by drilling the change. And then you put in some rhythm. And then you get it all flowing. And when it's all flowing, that's when you begin to sing over it. Now, I'm not going to get into how to sing and play today. I have an entire video I can do on that. But for a start, I hope you found this video useful here today. It's broken down to a very fine level. And remember that at any step of the way, you know what to do. And continue to change your approach. And if you want to find out more, look, I've been teaching guitar 23 years. And if you want to find out more about what I do, you'll find a link in the description below for the schoolofguitar.com. I help players at different levels, with different levels of support, depending on what you need. So, look, if you want to jump in and get a taste of what it's like to work together, it'd be really cool to work with you. See you soon. Thanks for watching.